What got you interested in music? Where did that start?
I never thought about doing music. I was more of a poetry writer in high school. After my mom passed in middle school, I kind of turned to writing as my release on things and stuff like that. So then when I turned 21, my friend Josh, who is a country rapper by the name of Handz Onn, he actually asked if I wanted to be his hype man. And I was like, what do you want me to do? Just be on stage and say some words. And I said, I can do that. Easy. I can handle that. No problem. I think I said 2 words maybe the first show. And he's like, oh, what happened, man? I thought you were going to be so hyped. And I'm like, give me another chance, bro. I'll prove you. I'll prove it to you.
Yeah.
Probably about 8 months later, I wrote my first song called Rejoice.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Music Podcast. Here to introduce you to the great musicians and music businesses and organizations of Wisconsin. Every week, Wisconsin Music Podcast will be bringing you great information on what's happening in the Wisconsin music world. For our music-loving listeners, we'll bring you music that you haven't even heard of yet from unique and talented artists and hear about their journey so far. You'll either hear live performances of their songs or songs from their selected discography. For our musicians out there wondering what they can do to further their recognition, we'll be calling upon Wisconsin music businesses and organizations to enlighten you on what they're doing to help further your music journey. And now, here's your host, Zach Fell.
Thanks, Dean. Hey, everyone. Glad you could make it for this week's episode. This week we have Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is a hip-hop artist, a wrestler, and an event promoter in Kiel, Wisconsin. So let's get right into the interview. How's it going, Snake Eyes?
It's a cold day in Wisconsin, but that just means ice is going to be over the lake soon, so I can go fishing again.
What kind of fish do you fish?
I'm more of a panfish, perch, small game type of dude. I go out with a little 6-inch Russian palm rod, as we call it. He's one of those.
So was that part of your growing up doing fishing?
Actually, I hated ice fishing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then I got a job at an ice fishing company, like building the ice combos and stuff like that for Walmart. So kind of got back into it. And the boss at the time had a TV show on the Sportsman's Network. So I was like, all right, let's give it the old college try again.
So how long you been doing that?
Well, I worked there about like 6 or 7 years ago. So it's been about 6 or 7 winters that I've been going back out again. We went out. It was 2 years ago. It was probably only about 2 inches on the ice, and it was caving underneath us with every step. And I don't think my body's ever been so tense for 6 hours on the ice before.
Yeah, I would be too. I don't think I'd stay on there. I don't think I have the strength to do that.
See, and I don't like it if the ice is all strong, and I know I won't fall through. It's more risky when it's flexing.
Gotcha. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Kiel my whole life. Never left this place, even though I was one of the people that always said they would. But when I was doing wrestling full time and music full time, I was on the road every weekend anyway. So I was never really around here, and I would go to work, come home, and go do my gigs on the weekends, basically.
What got you interested in music? Where did that start?
I never thought about doing music. I was more of a poetry writer in high school. After my mom passed in middle school, I kind of turned to writing as my release on things and stuff like that. So then when I turned 21, my friend Josh, who is a country rapper by the name of Handz Onn, he actually asked if I wanted to be his hype man. And I was like, what do you want me to do? Just be on stage and say some words. And I said, I can do that. Easy. I can handle that. No problem. I think I said 2 words maybe the first show. And he's like, oh, what happened, man? I thought you were going to be so hyped. And I'm like, give me another chance, bro. I'll prove you. I'll prove it to you.
Yeah.
Probably about 8 months later, I wrote my first song called Rejoice. And after that, it just kind of went off to the races. I started doing my own thing and trying to be different as many ways as possible in the music scene, especially being a white rapper from a small country town. Doesn't really go over too well, but that's why I branched out and went on tour and went and saw the country trying to get out of this town that I still haven't left.
Yeah. Where did you go when you traveled?
Well, the first tour we went on was called the Back Roads Tour, and that was just just around a Wisconsin tour in 5 days. The second tour we went on was called the Long Road Home. We had 3 stops in Ohio, Youngstown, Columbus, and Akron, and then we played New Mason, West Virginia. That show is actually pretty cool. It was the only time a famous person has ever came to a show that I've done. We had the guitars from the band Boba Flex in attendance in the crowd, which is pretty sweet.
Very cool.
And then we ended the tour in Nashville. So that was a really exciting way to see a totally different genre while finishing our tour at the same time. And they had like a karaoke night or something going on before our show, and just the amount of talent alone doing karaoke, the other band members were like, we don't really want to play our music here. We don't think it's going to go over. I said, screw it. Let's do a set of my stuff. And we did all my softer style songs, and it went over pretty well in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's amazing. You think a certain place would only cater to a certain niche, but it's cool to know that no matter where you are, your music can transcend anywhere.
And that's why I don't do just one style of rap. Like I have some real life style tracks that hit the depressed, angry teenager style fan base.
Mm-hmm.
The poppy club style stuff for the ladies to dance to when I'm performing. I got the 2000s crunk in your face Little John style for all the old school hip hop heads, and like it's never just one genre. That way, if I do go to a show and I notice the vibe is kind of more mellow, I can toss in my more serious and like a love song or two, and I'll still get over. Whereas I would go up there and just start screaming and hollering into a microphone, and it's not going to go over too well.
Right. You're smart enough to read the room and know exactly what you think should perform.
Well, and growing up, I was always going to concerts. Like I practically lived at the Rave in Milwaukee every weekend when I wasn't 18 yet. And I watched a guy like Tech Nine go from playing at the basement of the Rave because he couldn't sell enough tickets to selling out the ballroom. So like it showed me that whether it's 50 people or 2,000 people in a room, you just got to go balls out and go hard. Eventually that hard work pays off. So that's one of the things I prided myself on too when I perform. A lot of rappers go right over their CD audio when they perform. It's basically like a karaoke rapper. I took a lot of my vocals out. I only have my hooks in it. I have maybe some backing vocals, just enough time for me to take a breath or two. Because I do rap pretty fast. I mean, growing up listening to Cottonmouth Kings and Tech Nine and Twista and names like that did a lot of speed rap. It's kind of where I got a lot of my influence from on that.
What I notice about hip hop and rap artists, the way they flow, it reminds me a lot of like the bebop jazz era, because that type of jazz was very quick, had a lot of purpose behind what they were playing. So I feel like what hip hop and rappers are doing is what the jazzers were doing back in the 30s and 40s. It's just a different way of expressing yourself.
Right. And especially nowadays, like when I first started, there wasn't everybody was a rapper all of a sudden putting music on SoundCloud. Like you actually had to find a spot that had a $2,000 recording box, a studio box or whatever, and go home and figure it out. And now it's just like everybody and their grandmother has a studio and a TikTok page and all this sort of stuff. And there's really no way to stick out in today's music anymore unless you do something original, which I don't know too many things that are original nowadays.
It's just a different way of presenting the same thing, but in a different way that people go, oh, new shiny object. And then they get to listen to what's actually happening and go, oh, they actually have something to say. It's not just the same old, same old.
And that's how I felt about most of these mumble rappers like Lil Peep and stuff. But then I actually listened to it one night and I was like, oh, okay, I get it with their lyrics. It's more the lyrics based. You just kind of get lost in the trance of the instrumental around it, and all you hear is nun, 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 and you block it out if you don't give it a full face shot. And like I said, one night I was just sitting there, I was like, I'll check it out. All right, let me see what this is all about. And a lot of those kids are just single parent kids that needed a release, and unfortunately most of them went to pills and drugs and stuff like that. But there's a lot of pain in those lyrics, and I killed myself, or my mom died at an early age, and I dig it. I don't think I would go out in public and say that I support mumble rappers, because most of it's not really good, because I wouldn't let my kid listen to it. If I wouldn't let my kid listen to it, then I'm not gonna promote it publicly. But I mean, she's really super geeked about this Versus Me show. She's never been to a real concert before. I mean, she's seen Dad perform, but that's just Dad at a rap night somewhere, some dive bar or whatever. And this is going to be a full-fledged production. And
tell us about this whole thing from beginning to up to today, like how you got to where it is now.
back in July, I went to the 3-day mini festival up in Ringgold, Wisconsin. It had bands like Static X, Dope, Sponge from the early 90s. They had like an AC/DC tribute band, a couple other bands. Saving Abel performed. It was a nice break. It was the first live show that I went to in 2020, and it was heaven on earth for 3 days. Let me just say that. But Versus Me was a band that performed, and they also do a song for Sean Dean for All Elite Wrestling. They do his entrance music. So this shiny belt up here, I had mentioned that, hey, it's kind of cool that you guys are on AEW TV. Would you guys sign my belt? And that got to me talking to Lee, which is the bass guitarist for Versus Me, and kind of led to me hitting him up. Our community picnic was canceled because of COVID, and I wanted to run a show that weekend for my city just as it sucks that our picnic's closed, but here's this nice concert that you guys get to go to. But things kind of fell through and backtracked, and finally they had hit me up probably late September and asked if I still wanted to do something, and I said absolutely, because if some places don't take chances on live music, this whole live music thing could just not come back for a long time. And with all of the political processes going on and all the other crap in the streets, I figured, let's do this. Let's run a show. If people want to mask up, go ahead and mask up, social distance, whatever. We're still putting a cap on the room capacity, so we're only going to sell about between 125 and 150 tickets.
Okay.
The room holds 400 comfortably, so I figured that's a good cutoff. That's almost 25%, capacity. Still trying to follow the rules, but I also know that it's the first concert anybody's really going to go to in 2020, so I want to give as many people an opportunity as possible to go and attend.
And where is this located? Where is this happening?
It will be happening at the Gravel Pit in Kiel, Wisconsin. It's right off of State Highway 57, right outside of Kiel. You won't miss it. It's a big Superman logo with a GP in the middle. We also have Inbound and Scarlet playing. They are both bands that I had put a post in the Wisconsin Music Podcast Facebook group page. Both of them hit me up like that. I kind of checked through their music. I dug it, and they both got booked. So, I mean, networking 101 on the Facebook page right there. I mean,
cool.
To anybody that doesn't think it's not possible, it's 100% possible. And
yep.
To be honest, I've been jamming Scarlet for the last 2 weeks, ever since I really gave them a hard listen at work the other day. And, they do a good mix of, I want to say like a faster mix of a Chevelle, but then they can also do those slower tracks. They have a song called Memories that it went up to my top 5 on Spotify within 3 days. So
wow.
It shows you the amount of times I've been listening to that track. And the music video for it online is beautiful. It's elegant. I love it. I'm super stoked that they're going on before me. So I made sure to put a really good artist before me, just so it has to step my game up more before Versus Me hits the stage.
That's a good idea.
And then Inbound is kind of like I want to say the more of like the dirty biker rock. They got that grunge sound, that real deep to the guitars. So I think that's a good kickstarter to the show. So I'm gonna have them hopefully going on first. Doors open at 6. I'm gonna have Inbound going on stage at 7. I'm hoping to have the show done around 11:30, and merch tables, support your local artists. I ain't gonna have any merch because I put this show together. I just want it to sell. That's all I care about. I just want people to have a good time. I'm not gonna fling up a merch table on top of all the other setups I got to do that day.
Do you have people helping you put this thing together, or is it mostly just you doing all the legwork?
I had our beer distributor print off my posters. I'm doing the tickets right now as we speak. I booked all the bands. My brother, who is the owner of the Gravel Pit, he booked the sound and lighting crew from a band called Callus. That's from around here. They're more of a cover band, but they have a really good sound and light setup that made me feel like a superstar when I did a show with them last year. So I wanted to make sure I brought in a local team for sound and lights. That way their crew can actually work a show as well this year. So got spread it around. But yeah, though it's just been me. Dustin, the other guitarist from Versus Me, actually made the poster and the flyer. So that was actually really cool. And he's like, hey, man, I made this. What do you think? And I'm like, I'm printing it. I love it.
Yeah, excellent.
Cool. It shows that, they could be on tour with bands like I Prevail or Motionless in White right now. and he just made a poster for my little show in my little town. Like it's pretty cool. I chat with him on and off every once in a while just to check in, make sure all the guys are good. And when Ever signed this 25% cap, they instantly hit me up like, well, me and the boys were wondering, and we're like, dude, just message me. I'll talk with you guys all day. You can give me a call at 2 a.m. Let's talk music. Let's do this.
Yeah, cool. I take it you're gonna have, when you perform, you sent me 2 songs that you kind of wanted to talk about, which was No Place to Hide and Without You Part 2. Are you gonna be performing those at this event? So let's talk about No Place to Hide. Why don't you give us the history behind that one?
Sure. That's normally the song I start my set with. It sets a good tempo. It's got a good speed rhyme to it. It's got a singing hook, more of demons following me where I go. So here I am on the stage because this is where I let my demons out. I did a music video for it over Memorial Day weekend with my buddy Handz Onn, who owns J. Russell Studios out in Kaukauna. The video has been almost everybody I've sent it to, they've given it a positive review, whether it's from the visuals and the lyrics of it. It's one of my favorite songs to do. It really kind of sets my story, because when you look at me on stage, I mean, I got a bloody camp counselor shirt on and a jean vest over that, and I got braids in my hair, and I got one contact that makes my eye all crazy, so people look at me strange. But then when my lyrics hit them, everything starts to change. And that's one of the main vocal lines in that song, because once people don't read the book by its cover, you can actually find the story, and you might actually connect with that story. So that song is definitely my tree branch when I start on stage.
They follow me like paparazzi, and I feel like someone's watching me right now, right now. They follow me like paparazzi, and they know just how to rob me of my privacy. I just need some time. Won't you get off my back for all the things I've done? Let me live my life, have a little fun. I know I'm not perfect, I'm not the only one. I might be down on my knees, but I'm a Satan's son. I'm a devil's seed, doing dirty deeds, creeping in the night. Gotta get these fees from the sticky trees. Got my CD, and before you know it, I'm in your city, rocking all the stages, leading all the ages. When I speak these words, it's like a 12 gauges. As the fighting rages, start to escalate. It's time to close your eyes, say it, let's get by. As you ride up beside the highway with all the flies, no time for goodbyes as the demon will arise. Bullet in the head, leave a hater fucking dead. No easy said, leave the sea blood red. Follow me like paparazzi, and I feel like someone's watching me right now, right now. They follow me like paparazzi, and they know just how to rob me of my privacy. I just need some time. You look at me a little different, like I'm something strange. When these lyrics hit your mind, something starts to change. Hit you in the mid-frame, now let's play the game. On your knees, praying, telling me you're ashamed. Then you start to cry, cause you know you're about to die. Time to meet your maker, yeah, the one they call Snake Eyes. I'ma bring the death, exposed to the lies. Thunder clouds rolling in stealth in the skies. Flying through the night, yeah, I got my bad wings. Inside your mind, you start to see the bad things, like the pain that a death brings. It's so frightening, with the flash of lightning and the thunder's night sing. You can call me crazy, but I don't really give a flying fuck. Grab me some rope, you're going for a ride in the truck. Maybe in the trunk, so they don't smell the body funk. Cross the state lines, bumping on some skunk. Follow me like paparazzi, and I feel like someone's watching me right now, right now. They follow me like paparazzi, and they know just how to rob me of my privacy. I just need some time for me.
The song Without You Part 2. So obviously there's a part 1 to that one as well.
Part 1 was the nightmare. Part 2 was the dream. It's more of a relationship style slow song. Part 2 is definitely the slower one. I had written it for my friend Monica, who had passed away a few years back. She was the one that told me to switch up my stage look to kind of stand out a little more. So she started putting the braids in my hair before shows and stuff like that. And it's one thing that I kind of carried on. And after she had passed, I had wrote this song for her and recorded it. And for a while it was the song I would end my set with, because it would kind of hit on a more serious note. I never was a fan of performing part one, so kind of ending a set with part two didn't make much sense. But for me, it was a chance where you just saw me do all this crazy screaming, yelling, headbanging, dancing, in your face stuff. Here's my softer side. Now I'm going to go off stage and come have a beer with me sort of song. And what's nice is the third verse, the artist on it was actually going through problems in his relationship at the time, and he had wrote out what he wanted to basically say to her, and it kind of helped things mow over a little bit. So like that song has a lot of truth and validity to it, because it was literally written from the heart from both artists that are on it. And I it's just one of those songs that shows my different side. And they're like, oh, okay, I may have not have liked the other 35 minutes, but that last 4 minutes, I like that song. So I normally like to end that, because it's a thank you to her, because look at what she helped me build basically in all this time that she hasn't been here, but I know that she's at every single show. So
sometimes I stop and I take a look around. I'm looking for you, but you're nowhere to be found, cause you buried your love so deep, deep underground. Now I'm struggling to get my feet back on solid ground, so I'ma throw this down to the one that's here today. She puts on that smile and enlightens my day. From the look in her eyes, I know so she'll realize that I ain't like other guys. No, I'm one of a kind. I go offer your love and I hold it up high, cause you're always lifting me up, high up in the sky. I never wanna lose this feeling, cause before I was stealing. Now because of you, I feel like I'm finally healing. Maybe love isn't a joke, maybe it's the real deal. I know it's hard to explain, but this shit is real. You took me by surprise when my life was so teal. A big city girl and this kid from Kiel. Wake up in the morning and I look at you. You're so peaceful in your dreams, am I in them too? You know, when I dream of you, it's just us, baby, living together in this world that's so crazy. This is how you made me, do you agree? All I want right now is you, my lady. You're the center of my world and I want you as my girl. Without you, my world just doesn't whirl. Inside this atmosphere, I spin out of control. I can't take the wheel, I need you to grab a hold and get me back on the path, help me win my goal. So grab the dice, baby, you know it's time to take a roll. I hope you land on me, cause you make my life feel so free. Without you on my mind, I can't seem to be me. I'ma do this shit right, yeah, I got the recipe, cause I wanna give all my love to only you see.
As the man that's on stage, you never took a second to hear what I gotta say. So I guess I gotta put it up in a song for you to listen to my side of where it all went wrong. And now I know I ain't the best at showing real love, but baby girl, I really tried before I messed it all up. I gave in to temptation and let the devil get the best of me, and now I'm sitting alone wondering what's next. You see, I tried to be happy, but I never been it before. So when the feelings took over, I went for the door. And I know we had our problems, but we could've worked through if we'd only tried harder like we always promised to.
I never wanna see you unhappy. I thought you were the same for me. I cannot go to the ocean, I cannot climb the streets at night, I
I think audiences can tell when something's very truthful and something's from the heart. When you can do that with your audience, they can attach to what you're talking about. Then it's just going to elevate you in their mind, and they're going to go, "Oh, I remember him, or I remember her, and I remember their performance. They were really good. Let's go see them again."
Right, and that's another reason why too is a lot of hip hop artists when they go on stage, they're just kind of they're too relaxed in my opinion. They're just too, yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna do this song. This is my next song. They don't chop up. There's when I'm on stage, I don't do a full song. I do maybe a verse or two from each song, and I keep it short. So in a 20-minute set, I can perform 13 songs while most artists are only doing 3 or 4. So I'm giving you a catalog while other guys are just performing the songs that they want to perform. I actually put my set more in a story. I start in a very serious, this is who I am tone. I lift that up into a party tone. I'll do a serious tone. We'll bring it back up, and then we end with that slow track again. So I take it's a story. Like my album is called Black and White, and literally from front to back, it's a story. It's a complete story of my life.
And I take it that your album is on all streaming sites by now.
It is on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
It was recorded using free instrumentals online, so I'm not allowed to sell it. So
Gotcha.
it was more or less of this is what I can do, and performance wise, I've never made a dime off of music, and I never want to make a dime off of music. I just want to perform, and if somebody's like, "Hey, here's these beats, write to it and make some cash," I'll do it. But music's just a hobby. I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the fame. It's my release from my full-time job and being a dad and the stress of life. When you get on stage and you black out for those 30 minutes and you can have a crowd in the palm of your hand, and there's no other feeling like it.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you mean. Let's talk about pre, during, and post-COVID. What were you doing before the COVID pandemic hit for music?
Music wise, I haven't been doing much in the last about, I don't know, year and a half. Life kind of took a crazy turn and kind of dropped off the face of the earth for about 3 months there. But I'm slowly been getting back into writing form. I did a show. The last show I did was December 20th of last year with a band called Callous. Other than that, it's been a slow year. I was supposed to perform at my city's community picnic this year in August, but that was canceled. And I would have been the first original hometown artist to perform at it. And I've been trying for like the last 7 years to get on the show. So I always said it was either hell or high water. I perform at the picnic, and then I get booked on it, and then hell came. So
Of course.
of course, right. And other than that music festival I went to in July, I haven't been around much live music. There was a guy performing with his acoustic guitar outside of Lambeau Field. What's that Stadium View restaurant when I went up there a few weeks ago, and like that was probably the first live music that I've been to since July, and even that was just a nice change of pace. And
Yeah.
the dude was really good. I wish I could remember his name because he did a version of Freebird that was amazing on an acoustic. But I mean, I think we're gonna have a temperature check at the door for this show, just as a second safety measure for
Good.
people attending. But we did put on the thing too. We do recommend a mask. We're not gonna point you out if you don't have one or whatever, but it's just for the respect of the bands and everybody playing. I'm not big into the mask. I don't normally wear the mask unless I go to Walmart because it's needed. But I'll tell you what, those 2 weeks before that show, I'll be masking up because I'm not getting sick. This is my one shot this year to play, so I want to make sure I'm good to go.
Yeah. My wife's an RN, so I know it's no joke. So just be safe and careful, everyone out there, for sure. When we're past this COVID pandemic, what's like the first 3 things that you want to do musically?
First 3 things. Well, I know Scarlett and I have been talking about running some sort of music festival next year. So the first thing I want to do is message him and say, so about this festival. The second thing I'm going to do is start sending out more feelers for bands to play at the pit, for sure. And not just like metal bands. I want to see country bands. If I can find me a doo-wop group that can sing 50 songs, I'm booking it. I'm booking it all day long.
Cool.
That's my weakness, man. That's a weakness. And then I really just want to get out and see everybody's shows. I want to support everything.
Yeah.
If there's just a dude playing a saxophone somewhere, I'm going. Like I will gladly all day just support music because thank goodness it's back.
I think a lot of people feel that way, and I think there's going to be a big explosion of people going out to a point where it might be overload, and then people are going to like, we need to scale this back just a little bit, but I think it's going to be really healthy for the live music scene.
Agreed. And I know like Fatheads up in Green Bay, they were saying they're having a hard time finding bands that wanted to play during this time. And don't get me wrong, obviously we all have our own opinions, but if a bar asks me to play on an open jam night, I'm there at this point. I mean, get me out of the garage, get me out of the closet. I'm really tired of watching myself rap in front of a mirror.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been practicing my sets once a week, just like I have when I first started doing music, when I used to grab a brush while I was brushing my hair and do my lyrics in front of the mirror. I'm still doing the same thing, just not with a brush anymore. Kind of past that stage now.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh, 5 years. I'm hoping one of the top promoters in Wisconsin for booking live bands at my brother's bar. Like that's been my main focus ever since I started scaling back doing live music. I wanted to be more of a booker and bring in shows. I like watching crowds. I like seeing how they react to different bands, different genres, stuff like that. Probably still cooking at my brother's bar full time because I don't see myself ever stop working for my family. It's a nice relationship to have. Him and I never really got along after our mom passed, so this is the last 3 years have been really nice. So I want to kind of keep that going.
Yeah.
Let's see, my kid will be 15. I'm hoping she'll be playing some sort of musical instrument by then. Hopefully I can get her off of the Fortnite, maybe onto a flute. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Cool.
So
let's pretend the pandemic is non-existent right now. COVID's not here. What do you feel is suffocating the music scene, and also what do you think is helping the music scene get more into the limelight?
Well, being a hip hop artist, I have seen shows that have been poorly ran, from sound wise to light wise, that made people not come back, to promoters not paying up after shows. I've seen that happen so many times. As far as good things, I think there's a lot of new bars that are giving more music or more artists a chance. Like for me, hip hop again, it's really hard for me to get booked, say at like a Wendigo Fest in Manitowoc because of my style, because I do cuss, even though I've performed at grand openings for the Harmony Cafe in Green Bay, and I got my start at a cafe performing. So like I know how to edit my lyrics. That's definitely no issue. Even radio stations right now, they don't want to do ticket giveaways for the show because of the pandemic, which I see why, but at the same time it'd be a nice thing for the people listening at home that all wouldn't know about this show going on. I think things like Cutter's podcast that he does for Razor 94.7, I think that helps the music scene. I wish more of the radio DJs would get into doing podcasts and getting out and interviewing local bands. I mean, you already have this following from the people that listen to that genre. I mean, you could be giving a helping hand to more bands too.
Right.
That's why Fox 96.9, they used to have their homegrown from 11 p.m. to midnight on Sunday nights, where they'll play an hour of just live local bands, me included. And it was just cool to hear me on the radio. I never thought that would ever be a thing. And then all of a sudden your song comes on when it's a full red moon outside, and you're like, well, this is cool.
Yeah.
All right, I dig this. And it's one of those little glorified, moments of, well, this is what I did it for.
Do you see any other things is helping the local scene?
I just hope something pops off to where everybody just wants to be out. I want 2018 back, even though that was a terrible year for me personally. I would rather bring that back, because I was going to concerts almost every other weekend at that point, and seeing bands from like Falling in Reverse, and then going to see a country band like Lady A at Summerfest and stuff like that. Like I just want the normalcy back, Like I'm supposed to see Joe Rogan next month, but that got So like
Yeah.
that's been a huge thing. And I was supposed to go third row for AEW Dynamite in Milwaukee, but that got rescheduled to July of next year now too. So I just want shows back.
Yeah, I hear you. I think everybody, like I said earlier, I think everybody does. Home recording versus doing it in a studio. What's your opinion on it? I mean, obviously you're going to be going from your perspective as a hip hop artist.
I like doing the home recording as opposed to a studio recording. Home recording, you don't have to worry about if the producer thinks your lyrics are good or not. Or I like having 100% control of my music. Whereas when I have recorded at a studio, you have to, I mean, obviously it's a good wait, but I'm a very impatient person, so I don't like waiting for final mixes and all that. Like, what do you think of this version? What do you think of this version? What do you think of that? Make it sound good and let me release it. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
So when I'm 100% in control, it's a lot stress free, more or less.
Okay. So you find it a better environment to do it at home than under the pressure of the clock and the dollar bills going out the door.
Right. It's a lot easier being able to work at your own pace, and I'm a very big stickler, so I'll listen to something 30 times over just to make sure. Well, was that a little pop? Was that a what was that?
Yeah.
And to me that's just something like at home. It's just a lot easier where I can be sitting in my room comfortably and messing with every single dial and dialing everything in to the point where I want it to be at.
That's how I started out. We did an album back in the early 2000s. It was, we're going to spend too much money in a studio. Why don't we just use that money that we're going to use at the studio and do our own thing? And that's what we did. And it worked out better than we ever thought. If you have the ability to do the recording yourself, then why not?
Right. 100%.
What about your work-life balance? How is that for you, balancing your work ethic and your personal life?
I run on Beantown coffee, 4 cups a day, and 1 meal. And that's mostly just extra stuff that I'm cooking at the pit. Balancing it, it's crazy because my 2 days off, I'm with my youngest because she doesn't live with me. I have my oldest full time. So, balancing my daughter and work, and then days off, balancing my daughter and then my other daughter, and then still trying to get online to Rocket League and game with a couple of my buddies that are in different states and keep up to date with them. And there needs to be like 27 hours in a day, and then I would sleep.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be on the go like this than I can look back when I'm 60 and can't move anymore because of all the wrestling moves I've taken in my life, and be like, well, this is what I did for 30 years straight, so I had a good run.
Well, yeah. Do you want to live a good life and experience a lot of things, or do you want to live in a bubble and go, well, I don't have any stories by the time I get close to my end here?
Right. And my dad was always working all the time, so he never got to go to Disneyland or do any of that. So it's one of the things I'm gonna try to do for my 2 youngest. I got to see the country doing wrestling and music, and now it's my turn to take kind of them around and do fun little family things, but still see the country at the same time.
Cool. Yeah. Gotta do that stuff because those are the memories you want to have for the rest of your life. Not, I went to my job every day and came home and went to sleep and did the same thing every day.
Right.
Did you have any gigs that made an amazing impression on you that you were involved in? Like life-changing maybe?
Performing with Handz Onn at Summerfest on the Renegade stage was very eye-opening. Watching a couple thousand people walk past you while you're performing, and you get those few people that'll stop and get onto the grass and listen for a little while, and then they continue on their way. It was a very, very unique experience. Like, that was very eye-opening. Otherwise, I used to do shows with this group out in Milwaukee called Wicked Wisconsin, and their shows were always, it mirrors like the Insane Clown Posse and the Juggalo movement. Like, the fans were just passionate. They were into every artist that was under the collective, and like those shows made all of the cafe shows and shows where there was 5 people at totally worth it. Like, I look at those shows with 5 people as my training opportunities. Like, okay, I'm going to use these shows and see what people like, and if I see a little dance, little move I did on stage, I'm going to incorporate that, the next time. And everything just always snowballed and kept evolving, to where I'm at today.
Yeah, those shows it just makes such a big impression on people, and they don't realize it. The audience doesn't realize what impression they're making on to the artists up there on that stage. They think it's, oh, this is just what they do, and it's not a big thing to them. But actually, for a lot of the performers, no matter how big they get, having a crowd to perform for, they live for that. That's their passion.
Yeah, I don't ever get upset if there's only like 10 people at a bar that I'm performing at, because that's 10 people that I'm going to entertain for the next half hour, and hopefully they're going to go home and be like, well, there was this rapper guy with these braids, and he's pretty badass.
Is there any a third song you want me to put in on the podcast besides "No Place to Hide" and "Without You" Part 2?
I can send you my first music video as a song called "This Is Wicked Wisco." It's actually got like a little mini story behind it. A bunch of people break into a haunted house. I'm the demon. We take all their lives. Typical zombie movie sort of thing. Oh. But being my first music video, I made sure that it was more of a story based, not just me rapping in some parking lot somewhere or with some lights behind me. Like, if I'm going to make a music video, I'm going to make it something that's going to keep your attention for that 3.5 minutes. So.
Yeah, I hear you. As we wrap this up, Snake Eyes, you have this show coming up on November 14th in Kiel, Wisconsin at the Gravel Pit. You can contact Snake Eyes. How can they contact you? What's the best way?
They can send a message to the Gravel Pit's Facebook page. It's the Gravel Pit Sports Bar and Grill on Facebook. I help manage their messages, so if anybody has a question about the show or tickets or anything, they can just shoot a message to the venue and we can get it handled.
Excellent. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you being on the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too. Well, thanks to Snake Eyes for being on Wisconsin Music Podcast. Thanks to Dean Bundy for being our intro voiceover talent, and Nate Wyckoff for creating the music for the podcast. Before I forget, please check out episode 5.9. It's a call to action for the Jazz Gallery Center of the Arts. They are raising money for a new sound system, and they have a live streaming concert November 8th at 7 p.m. If you go to their website, Jazz Gallery Center for Arts.org. Once again, that is Jazz Gallery Center for Arts.org. All the links to their streaming concert on November 8th at 7 p.m. will be on their website and also in the details below. The Jazz Gallery does not only cater to jazz artists, but they are open to multiple genres as well. So check out episode 5.9. Watch their concert on Sunday, November 8th at 7 p.m. If you can donate to their fundraiser, please do. And we're going to have Snake Eyes play us out with his song, This Is Wicked. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.
Stop, seen a lot of haters try, but they all went flop. Cause we rising to the top with this wicked raw shit. Put your hands in the sky, get me down with this. It's wicked disco man, and it ain't gon' stop. Seen a lot of haters try, but they all went flop. Cause we rising to the top with this wicked raw shit. Put your hands in the sky, get me down with this. When I rock the shit, yeah, you better back up. Keep looking all around like you got some backup. If you act up, I'ma smack up homes. I'm the type to be ransacking up in the yard. I'm a dirty motherfucker, been living in the sewers, in on the loser streets, so just call me a brewer. When I lure you in, there ain't no way back. Slaughterhouse be wondering, yeah, how you do that? Hands with brain, speed, and expertise, chopping off limbs just to get a release. And all the talking we'll see, seven you rest in peace. Wicked Wisconsin boy, and we never gonna cease. No Jesus peace. When I step up in the place with my ninja blade, there's blood all over the place, so only you better erase when you stated your hate. Roll the dice, you little bitch, and roll your fucking fate. This is wicked Wisco man, and it ain't gon' stop. Seen a lot of haters try, but they all went flop. Cause we rising to the top with this wicked raw shit. Put your hands in the sky, get me down with this. This is wicked Wisco man, and it ain't gon' stop. Seen a lot of haters try, but they all went flop. Cause we rising to the top with this wicked raw shit. Put your hands in the sky, get me down with this. So what you wanna do when we coming after you? What possess zombie like we do the voodoo? Yeah, you little bitch. When you fucking tutu, squeeze your little neck.
till your lips turn blue. Cause I'm just sick of this shit, you're all just making me sick. Come here, you little fucker, it's off this rap dick. Cause I'm sick in the head and a little deranged. When they find your fucking body completely rearranged, your head and your face in a completely different place, and the rest of your body stuffed in a briefcase. Says the drama to your mama, homie, I don't need that. Or a bunch of friends that sit around and stab me in the back. If you say fuck me, I'm gonna rinse your whole crew. So motherfuck me, homie, motherfuck you. You sound like shit on your fucking CD, dude. Every song I make hits like a baseball bat, dude. This is Wicked Wisco, man, and it ain't gon' stop. Seen a lot of haters try, but they always flop. Cause we rising to the top with this wicked raw shit. Put your hands in the sky if you down with this. This is Wicked Wisco, man, and it ain't gon' stop. Seen a lot of haters try, but they always flop. Cause we rising to the top with this wicked raw shit. Put your hands in the sky if you down with this.
Stare into the serpent's eyes at the moment that he dies. Roll him over in a Dodge while I'm driving with snake eyes. I see you living different lives and been publishing lies. Your body goes cold, nobody knows the soul's fly. The shit is hyperactive, this place is a slaughterhouse. Shadow cast snake, I see some real killers, no doubt. We got a bloody bitch naked running down the middle of the street. She screams, she shouts, and she runs around. She amounts to nothing, necrophiliac, dead body fucking. She ain't said no, but she also ain't sucking. Dead body bitch just sunken, no plunking.
Always whispering sweet nothings, laughing, help me smash all these pumpkins. Beats got me spazzing out like clowns when they crumpin'. I'm crisscross cause I got you all jumping. All you guidos cause I got your fist pumping.
Yeah, baby, Snake Eyes, the Shadowcasters, 2010, Wicked fucking Wisco. You know what I'm saying? Kill Wisconsin hip hop. You ain't believing in this shit? You need to get the fuck about my way.
Yeah,
and I'm coming hard this year. Local fast. Yeah, we gon' get it, baby. Wicked Wisco.
don't believe that. We ain't coming for your motherfucking necks too, bitch.
And your grandmas.